go. Let's go, yo.
Let's do it. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking my usual Mother Earth brew cream, California cream stuff. You know,
good stuff. I've got a ultra that I'll dip into eventually. Dude, so let's do it, man. We're talking
real quick though.
Go ahead. Yeah,
I got one more thing, and we can segue.
All right.
But we went to the NFL experience, Super Bowl experience yesterday. It's like,
really?
They have have you been there? Have you been to one before?
No, dude, I went to the like an NBA experience.
Okay.
I feel like in the late 90s.
It's kind of the same thing, but they have football activities and I got to try to I did kick a field goal, from like 20 yards out. I made it. So, and then
did you bust your hip?
No, I was thinking, man, I haven't stretched or anything. I'm going to fucking pull something. And, I know my wife's recording me. So I'm like, oh man, if I like go down while kicking after I've seen like 40 people kick before me and be perfectly fine. Of course, not everybody made it, but I was thinking, oh, it's going to be embarrassing. But it was fun. I've been every time the Super Bowl's been here, I've been to that. So it was kind of the same kind of shit, but just more people and, a lot of lines. And I was like, So we were only there for like an hour and a half or two, but I ended up buying
What did it cost?
I think it was $30 a ticket. So,
okay.
And then I ended up buying a freaking.
That's not bad.
Official football for the NFL, for the Super Bowl. So I don't know if you remember, I bought one in 1996 when they were here before. That football I have signed
when they were at ASU.
Yeah, and it was $89 for that.
I think I've seen it. Yeah,
yeah. And then this one cost $200. It's a fucking $200 ball.
Fuck.
So I'm like, yeah, that's expensive.
That's rough.
I kind of wish I would have bought one for each time they've been here, but I missed the last two, I guess. But.
Is this a fourth Super Bowl we've had?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
they've had three
this will be the third one at the new stadium. So yeah.
That's crazy that it's so many, that we've gotten so many.
Yeah. Well, because this is ideal place, man. Everybody comes here and they want to stay here. This is the perfect time of year to visit Arizona.
Yeah.
Or at least the Valley.
They don't know.
You got the Open going on. It's got the Waste Management Open going on and Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And then the car show, what was that called? Barrett Jackson. It's a lot of shit going on around this time. So my birthday.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
Your birthday. That's why they're here. It's because it's your birthday.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're like, we know.
I love it.
But yeah. So yeah.
All right, dude. So we're talking about freaking. I don't want to say is the NFL rigged, but is the NFL rigged? But is it is professional sports rigged? Right.
Yeah. I think that's the better question, because I think if the NFL is rigged, I think they're all fucking rigged, right? Or if something's up, it's up in all of them, right? It can't just be one of the sports.
Dude, one of the things I was thinking about is I think rigged isn't the right word, or what's the definition of rigged, right? Like if rigged means like the higher ups in the NFL and the higher ups in the NBA know about it, right, and plan for it. Is that rigged, or is it just manipulated?
I would say manipulated.
Like, is it rigged?
I think rigged. Well, I think rigged and manipulated could be the same. I guess when people go as far as saying it's scripted, I think
it's not scripted. There's no way.
Like it's not WWF, or it's not WWE, right? Where hey, they're talking about it all the way through the match, saying, hey, I'm going to throw you this way now. Okay, I'm going to throw you this way now. All right, it's time for me to put the pin on you. Let's do this. It's not scripted like WWE, but to me, it could be scripted or rigged or manipulated. Could all mean the same thing in my.
I would think if it's rigged, then they're going to say we want this team to win, and I don't think they can do that. I don't think they can. Who's got to be involved? If it's not that the
players. I think, in my opinion, I think that it's not down to the players. You know what I mean? I don't think players.
Do you think coaches know?
Maybe not even coaches. I would say the refs can control a game. I think it's to the refs. You figure trying to keep how many people on the roster? 60-man roster or 70-man roster?
Yeah,
52 man,
53.
52-man, 53-man roster. And coaches, staff. I imagine it can't be to that level because that's so many people involved. But if you get 5 referees in one game and there's 32 games, it's a club union referees that get fed, what to do or how to make calls, or, I feel that there is an objective, I guess. Maybe it won't always. I think it's
like, what's the objective then? Like, why would they do it?
For money, for betting, for the best story. You know what I mean? Look at, we got the Kelsey brothers playing in the Super Bowl today. Well, that's funny how both those teams got tons of referee help during their games. You know what I mean? Like, calls weren't going one way, or, it gets very like, don't get me wrong. I love NFL and I don't want to believe that this is happening, but there's not, like, it makes me question for sure the shit that goes on.
Dude, I've gone, this last week, dove into this topic quite a bit. And there was at one point I was like, oh, for sure it is manipulated. For sure the league passes down, directives or I'm sure they're like smart about it. And they're going to tell refs, hey, we want you to, last week there was a lot of holding calls. We want you to focus on holding this week. And I think that they'll do that maybe if there is a storyline and it's like, hey, if we focus on holding, we know the Steelers hold a bunch, and normally, that's not called, but this week it's going to be called a bunch, and that's going to, but like they can still overcome that. You know what I mean? Like the Steelers can still win so part of me believes they do that, but at the same time, if we look at the Chiefs and what they, and when they were playing the Bengals and there were some weird calls last week, right? Or 2 weeks ago, right? And where it seemed like obvious they had help from the refs.
Right.
I can think as well that, that's just like the ref stepped in when the clock was running and he tried to stop the play. No one saw him, but like you see him running in, waving his hands, right? But the play continued to go.
I didn't see hand waving. Did you see hand waving? I seen him.
You didn't see that?
Move into a position. Maybe I couldn't see his hands in that video that I watched. Okay. Well, maybe he was. Okay. I don't remember him waving. Dude, I might be thinking. Like maybe once the play was over.
Well, it showed him running from the sidelines. Yeah, and maybe I
seen him moving. I seen him moving from the sidelines up, but it almost looks like he could have been just getting into position. Like the play was going. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, to me it looked like he was stopping the play.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, dude,
it was the ref that was up in the back corner. You know what I mean? It wasn't. Right. It was a ref that
he was the one that noticed that. He was the one that noticed that the clock was running,
or he was the one that was getting something in his ear saying, "Hey, don't let him have this." Or
there's no way. There's no way it's at that level.
Even though who's to say they would have got the first down? They got the first down on that play, but if they would have stopped the play, doesn't mean they could have easily not have gotten the first down and then got a free play to do it. I can see that.
I think about the risk that these leagues would have, right? If they get caught for doing any kind of manipulation, and it's almost like it's not worth the risk. I feel like there's other things that they put in place to have like this level of parity, right? Like to make every team equal, where you that phrase of any given Sunday like rings true. And I just don't think it's. I don't know, dude. I started off this week thinking for sure it's rigged, but now I'm like, I don't know.
So is your main thing you think they're not willing to take that risk? Is that your main like argument to this? Is like, it's kind of a big risk, and why would they do this to risk so much things? I mean, is that
awful?
I mean, because if you look back at the history of professional sports, the 1919 Black Sox, you know what I mean? Were rigging games or throwing games and that was the players, you know what I mean? Or there's a bunch of examples throughout history of sports being manipulated or scripted or people betting on it or referees effing up games.
I don't think for sure there's players that will manipulate the game, right? I think there's refs that will, but I don't think it's like a systemic thing like from the upper management in the league down, like as a directive necessarily saying, hey, we want Kansas City to win. I don't think that's going on. I
right. See, and I disagree. I mean, I mean, okay, maybe I wouldn't say I think that's going on. Like, I believe this is going on, but I completely see that as being possible. And I'm not saying that, you're right. There you have billions of people watching the Super Bowl, right? Everybody's watching it. So if there's an objective for say NFL wants a certain team to win, well, they obviously can't just give them the game and be ridiculously obvious about stuff they do, even though they're, throughout this research, I've seen ridiculous, obvious things that happen. I'm like, what in the fuck? How does that even happen? You know what I mean?
But is it obvious? Like you want to see it. You believe it's rigged, right? Like you believe refs are told to control the game.
I believe something somewhere, and maybe it's not from the NFL higher ups, but something somewhere is manipulating the games. And I guess the most obvious thing to me, if games are being manipulated, it's by the betting industry. It's by the billions and billions of dollars in the betting industry, and that's even before it was legal everywhere. You know what I mean? I think that's where it would. If the most likely scenario is that. Do I also believe that the NBA is a business and they want more and more money? They want to be in the black like crazy all the time. So they want to stretch something to a game 7 in the NBA, or they want to stretch something to a game 7 in the World Series. Yes, I do think that. I mean, and throughout playoff history, that's what happens. It always somehow all of a sudden, Lakers get all the calls in their favor and the other team doesn't, you know what I mean? Because they know that 2 extra games is going to go is billions of dollars. You know what I mean?
Dude, so I was listening to an interview with Tim Donaghy. Yeah. Donaghy.
Donaghy.
And he was talking, which was the NBA ref who got blamed for
He's a piece of shit.
He said he never fixed a game, but was just giving inside information. And he said because it was obvious, like this ref hates Mark Cuban,
right?
Absolutely hates the Mavericks. And when that ref is, the head ref is out there, the Mavericks are 1-15 against that ref. Like they've lost 14 times or whatever,
Yeah.
And so, and he would just give information like that, and so he swears he never fixed a game, never used his whistle to win money necessarily. But he did talk about how the league, like just with the structure of the way these refs would get paid, right? Like if for each series that they play in or each game in a series, like the refs, everyone makes more money.
Yeah.
The players get a bigger payday. Yeah. And so it would be worth it for them as a crew to get to game 4 or to get to game 6.
Right.
And he said, and he actually called out a ref, and he's like, this guy, and he was some older ref, and he's like, this is the game 6 ref. If the NBA wants it to go to game 7, this is the guy they have ref.
Right.
And because he always is able to make it go to a game 7.
Right.
And which, dude, if like that structure of getting bonuses, I think that is some way that the league manipulates the system, right? It's not it's not a top-down directive, but it's like, hey, we're going to incentivize you to make this go to game 7. And and so of course the refs will do it. They're only making $300,000 a year, where everyone else on the court's making $10 million. So that, which still to $300,000 is a shit ton of money. I don't know what to do with that amount of money. But man, I actually think the NBA is worse than the NFL. I think after listening to Tim Donaghy, whatever, with all his interviews, I was like, dude, the NBA it's not rigged, but it is manipulated heavily for sure. Like he talked about refs like being friends with Michael Jordan,
right?
And like would go ref at like Michael Jordan's camps, and like that ref also had owned a restaurant and had shoes signed by Michael Jordan, like up in some cabinet, and so of course. That ref isn't going to make crazy calls on Jordan. Yeah, he's going to call him for traveling. Yeah. He's going to call him for palming or whatever.
Well, even they're saying how that ref would ask Jordan, "Hey, was that a foul?" And Jordan would be like, "Yeah," and he's like, "It's foul on that person." You know what I mean? Like they'll almost ask Jordan if it was a foul and then blow the whistle. You know what I mean? That to me. So either way, what that points to, Chris, is stuff like that and stuff like the So maybe that game 6 ref is subconsciously blowing the whistle and make this game longer or purposely, but that's just one ref with with that incentive, or in all these refs have that incentive. And then you get, on top of that, like you said, they have their favorites and Jordan's friends that are referees. I mean, doesn't that point to how easy it would be to manipulate the game even more so with every ref? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I don't think. I mean, dude. So it's weird, right? If for some reason I thought of it like in the court system when you have jurors, right? Like,
right.
If you're on the jury, you can't, like, you're sequestered. You don't talk to the defendant or the prosecution. Like, you don't have any interaction with them. And I think to do it the right way, that's how the refs need to be handled. They need to not be buddy with any NBA player. They can't, and it's not that way. So then it's open to like just normal human interactions where you're then just going to naturally become friendly with someone, right? I mean, if I'm out there reffing a game against you and you're playing and there's a questionable call, like it just, it's my
you're
nature
gonna lean
because
the
I
other
like
way.
you.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And I can't help it. It's just, it's just naturally going to be that way.
It's going to go my way because it's a coin toss, right? If it's a charge or a foul. I know Tim Donahue was saying that he bet on games based on what their ref meetings were that week or that morning or whatever, saying, hey, Phil Jackson sent in this DVD, and every time Kobe goes drives it to the rim, he gets hacked.
He's getting hacked there. Yep.
And you're missing all these calls. So Tim Donahue would call his buddy and say, hey, they're going to be calling these fouls on when Kobe's going to
shoot 20 free throws.
So he's going to get 25 extra points on top of it. So make sure you pick Lakers and the points this game. You know what I mean? So, but at the same time, and I think he mentioned, when the FBI was investigating him, is if he's doing things subconsciously to help win his bet as well. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like is that what he has a bet on the game? Is he manipulating even more so to assure his bet is won? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude. And I heard him talk about that and how he eventually had to, just to get through that whole process, he had to agree. And he's like, I don't even know what I signed, but they pretty much said, hey, do you believe subconsciously you could be making this decision, which doesn't even make sense to me because subconsciously it's like, no. Like to think,
just like Chris,
to just say, to say it's possible, something I'm not even thinking about, and I'm gonna make that decision. Like it's a subconscious decision. You know what I mean? It's not like that means he didn't do it on purpose.
True, but wouldn't you say being Michael Jordan's friend and calling a foul is almost a subconscious thing as well? Or if you're my ump and I'm doing something and it's something as a toss up, of course I'm getting the subconscious decision, even though maybe you really believe it was the right decision. It
just goes back to like it from a factual perspective of like in court, this was some kind of thing that he had to sign with the FBI, some kind of, where he's confessing to being like, well, okay, I guess maybe subconsciously I could have possibly done this. And it's just a weird thing that they wanted him to agree to. It didn't make sense to me, but
he also, you got to put it in a human perspective, is he's trying to justify his actions. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I made bets, but I didn't really manipulate anything, of course, because I've been making him look like a big old piece of shit asshole, which you already think he looks. But he's just getting insider information, and that's all. I mean, I don't believe that. I don't believe that you can be in that position of power and have these inside information and placing these bets on an outcome. I mean, it's not like when Pete Rose used to bet, supposedly, what he's banned from the Major League Baseball, but he used to only bet on his team to win. So he wasn't betting against his team, so he wasn't throwing anything. He was only betting on his team to win. So he's pushing his team to win so that he can win his freaking bet. Where you can't manipulate a game that way. You know what I mean? You're trying to win the game like you should. And there's money at stake, extra money at stake now. But this guy, he's not somebody on a team. He's controlling the game. Just like, NBA games are won by 1 and 2 points. So letting a guy go to a free throw one time could change the outcome of a game. You know what I mean? Or it's just like in the NBA, in the NFL, like you said, like referees can't really control. No, that game, the most common phrase of that game is football is a game of inches. Well, a ref can easily give a team 5, 15, 20, 50-yard penalties because of a bullshit foul or no foul no call that they make. So yes, I absolutely believe that refs can control the outcome of the game. And unless there's a team that is just so dominant that no matter what the ref is calling, they can overcome it because they're just really kicking their ass and everything's going to right. Nobody's dropping balls. Nobody's, and I remember seeing videos on games like that where like this team they overcome like 200 yards of penalty, but still somehow able to win the game. You know what I mean? It's happened.
Yeah. Dude, going back to Tim Donahue real quick though, I want to believe that he didn't consciously change the outcome of game. Like he didn't use his whistle to win bets. I think that at some point he talked about his percentage of getting calls right and how he was like third in the league with always getting, like, he had a percentage of like 78% or something like that. And I would have thought that if he was throwing games for as many games that exist in the NBA, what is it? 100 and like, it's like baseball, right? 168 games a season or something stupid. Yeah. And that it would have reflected that he would have been lower, but he was a top tier ref. And so or their scoring system is junk, which part of me thinks, how do they even measure that? Honestly,
I would think that, because if you think about just in any sport, if it's a charging or a blocking foul, you know what I mean? It's a 50-50. It literally can go any way. And those are 90% of the calls they make in the NBA, charging or blocking. You know what I mean? Yeah, traveling or any other, it's fouls that can go either way. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the ones that he did call were 78% right. But what about the ones he didn't call? Do they count all the calls he missed as well that he didn't call?
Yeah, I don't know how they measure it, right?
You know what I mean? I mean, that's him. He's a crook, Chris, no matter what. So he's a guy that broke the biggest rules in all of the sports. What is in every sports league, NBA, football, baseball, betting is the biggest no-no, and he was doing it. So if he's breaking the biggest rule of his whole company and where he makes his money, why do you think he can't do anything else, like blow a whistle to change a play? Or, I mean, he's a piece of shit.
I for some reason I have a soft spot for him. I don't know why. After everything I listened to him this week, I'm like, no, I think he's an all right guy.
You know what?
He made some mistakes, but
I think when I was listening to him as well, I was thinking, you know what? I'm glad he came out. I'm glad he's speaking the truth about shit. You know what I mean? He's speaking how there's referees that and I love how he's throwing people on the bus. And he doesn't really throw people on the bus because he doesn't really name a lot of names. But maybe this is him trying to make himself feel better about the piece of shit he is. But that doesn't make him not a piece of shit still. You know what I mean? He's still, you can shine a piece of shit and it's still going to be shitty the whole fucking time. Every layer is still shit underneath there.
So one thing he said was like, after like he got in trouble and, Stern came out and said, hey, you can't, did you just spill your beer?
Fucking all over me.
That's awesome. He came out and said, you can't, betting is wrong. Like, we're going to clean up, the sport, or we're going to investigate. Right. And he had said, out of the, 58 or 60 referees that exist in the NBA or whatever it was, he was like, fucking 55 of them gamble.
Yeah.
So it's like all of them do it. So,
yeah.
So just throw it like it. I just don't think. I don't know, man. I just have a hard. I don't know.
Just because you gamble doesn't mean that you gamble on the game that you're, on NBA games.
That's true.
He was saying how 3, and it's possible that they do, and maybe they're all pieces of shit. I mean, there's a lot of pieces of shits in the world. But did you hear how he was saying that he knew of 3 NBA officials that were on a mob boss's payroll, and
no,
for surely we're fixing games, for surely we're making calls. He said some mob boss named Michael Francisi or something like that, who I guess he's not a mob boss anymore, and now he's like a preacher or something. But and went from one crook to another kind of crook. But,
right.
But he that's what he was saying. He's like that's it's, and he was saying like for him to say, he was quick to call out games like the 2000s. I don't forget what it was, 2006, game 6 of the Lakers and Kings. How every play went the Lakers' way, and he was quick to say how that was rigged. You know what I mean? So what side of the coin is he really on? So he'll say he'll say how games aren't really manipulated, but then he'll say how games are rigged. You know what I mean?
Dude, one thing that I heard is that I think now he does real estate. He's like practically a landlord or something,
right?
But he still has a pension from the NBA. Wow. And I would have thought that the NBA would have said, "Hey, we're gonna just bury this guy. We're gonna like publicly like get it all out there." But if they're giving him money still, like they still gave him his pension, they chose to, like that's their way of kind of shutting him up. Like, so he doesn't name names necessarily.
Exactly.
And, dude, and this is how I go back and forth.
Exactly, like, Chris.
Oh, it's not
You're
rigged.
seeing it.
But this shit happens, and I'm like, oh, it is rigged, man, on some level. Yeah. Oh, it drives me nuts. Oh.
Dude, well, see, but like I said, I'll go back to the point of where I think that I think the game is manipulated from many different points of view. So if it maybe it's like you said, it's not the NFL or NBA telling the refs to call these calls in a certain team's favor, but yet they incentivize the game going to 6 and 7 and later on.
Right.
Okay, so that alone, that's something that's a manipulation in my eyes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or if a big market team is going to bring in way more money than a low market team, a small market team, for the NFL or baseball. I mean, the money difference is ridiculous when a big market team is in compared to a little market team. You know what I mean?
Dude, so there's a website called thefixesin.com. I don't know if you had a chance to see that.
I don't think I saw that.
It's this guy, Brian Toohey. He's like an investigative journalist, writer, whatever. And he's written a few books on this whole topic from the NBA, NHL, NFL. And he breaks down about how the NBA, NFL, like all of these leagues it's sports entertainment,
right? Which
is the same category that the WWE fits under.
Right.
And that they get these TV rights for the NFL or something was like $11 billion or something. And that for that reason alone, you have to have some level of speculation, some like that they want to make games close, that they want to somehow, because next year they want to get 11.5 billion. And the year after that, they want 12. And so they have to put out a good product. And it is sports entertainment, man.
I was watching go ahead. Sorry. I was just on that point that they want to make it point close, as I was watching some guy give details on how in the last 5 years games are closer than they've ever been, score wise, like these crazy comebacks with the Patriots coming back and beating the Falcons when they were down 25-3 or whatever.
Dude, this year Minnesota came back by like 30 points or 28 points or something, right?
And he was saying how like in the big chunk in the 80s and 90s where if a team was kicking another team's ass, it was a blowout through the whole game, even in the Super Bowls and regular games. And rarely was there a big comeback. That's why it's the first time in history someone's come back from 28 points or something in a Super Bowl, or I mean, it's just never. It wasn't happening. And now in the last 5 years, not every game, but the percentage of games that are close are there. Are is small compared to what it used to be.
Yeah.
And how they go back to that Falcons Patriots game where in the first half, the calls were kind of even and Falcons may have got a little bit more calls. But in the second half, when Patriots made that comeback, not one penalty was called on the Patriots. I mean, like to me, and on penalty and all the penalties called on the Falcons. So I mean, like to me, I think maybe there was one blatantly obvious something they had to call. What is that? Personal foul or something,
Sure.
But other than that, it was all one-sided. So to me, that's like, well, hello. There's fucking red flags all over the place. You telling me that this team played flawless football? And they were saying that there was like 3 or 4 obvious holds or pass interferences or blocking the backs that they did not call in the game. These guys are fucking professional. They'll see you fucking barely touch a face mask for half a second, but they don't see an obvious block in the back or a pass interference where someone's fucking on their back.
Right. Dude, I don't see. This is where I get in this revolving thought process of like, oh, it is rigged. Oh no, it's not rigged. It is rigged. It's not. And I just, I don't want it to be rigged, man. I think that what it like if the NFL is found out to be rigged, right? That it is manipulated on some level. What are the fans going to think, right? Like they're going to lose their like. We're the ones that pay for everything, right? Sure, it's $11 billion that's paid out for
right.
ESPN and Disney to have all these rights, but it's because we're watching all the advertising,
right.
and so I just can't see that they would give that up.
Chris, think about it. Think about the NFL has survived so much. If you think about how. If you're either a Brady supporter or a Brady hater, and if you're a Brady hater, he's instantly the worst cheating football player of all time, along with the Patriots, and there's proof that the balls were deflated or very strong speculation of recording, or people were in trouble for recording walkthroughs for other teams, and that is blatantly obvious cheating, and there was a lot of hate and teams were fined, but guess what? Football continued as normal, and damn well that the Patriots aren't the only fucking team doing that.
Right.
You're telling me out of the 32 teams, only the Patriots are fucking cheating? No, every team's trying to get ahead on shit. And the NFL survives. Everybody still watches it, still makes more money than ever. I think that, and maybe that shit like that's thrown out as smoke screens when shit is getting close to being caught or something, or
right,
or to explain something,
But I don't think if a team is going to cheat, that's that team, right? If the Cardinals want to record, if the Patriots want to record, I don't think the Cardinals ever recorded or at least got caught. Like that's on the team, right? That doesn't mean it's rigged. That means that they cheated.
Yeah, but that's still a manipulation in my book. If they are manipulating.
That's the team cheating.
Yeah, and there's also teams that have been caught recording teams walkthroughs and stuff or plays or whatever, and they've been caught, but it was never the big news like the Patriots did when they get caught. I forget who it was the Bengals or Vikings that got caught recording recording something, and it was like swept under. They got their fines and stuff, but it was like nobody made a big deal out of it because it was a team that wasn't a winning team.
Sure.
But
dude, that's this guy Brian Toohey from the Fixes In. He talked about how even in the NBA, NFL, actually all of the leagues, about how important those big market teams are and how they're the ones that drive revenue, because there's profit sharing, because there's like this antitrust exemption that exists in all of the leagues, which means that they can pretty much have a monopoly on their product, right? Like if like all of the plumbers in Arizona can't band together and like control the advertising rights or like control pricing, right? There's like antitrust laws about that. Well, the NFL, like each team is its own business. And so, but they're allowed to band together and say, no, we're collectively, we're going to bargain for all of this stuff. But I don't know, man. I just can't have it be real. I can't. I have a hard time with it. I can't.
I was listening to this one guy. He was saying how like it's been speculated that like if it is a huge, like there's conspiracy theories. Like I don't believe that games are rigged or scripted, even though there's retired football players Arian Foster came out recently talking about how they were pretty much all like their practices were learning the script of how the game's going to go.
You didn't believe
and
that, right?
No, I didn't. But
that was tongue in cheek.
Was it?
It had to have been. It was so BS.
Yeah, because the guy made a joke afterwards. Either way, I don't believe like people took that and all of a sudden took, oh my God, see, the NFL's rigged. I listened to that and I thought the same thing because another guy made a funny joke comment follow up and he replied to it in a joke. But I don't believe it's like that to that level. But the conspiracy theorists who do, they brought up a point like they're like, are injuries and fatigue in a game real? You know what I mean? Like where, these players are gassed and they're so tired and all of a sudden they blow a 28-3, win. Or even the game that we watched, like, is it real? Like, are they being told to try to take it easy or act tired? I mean, they're professional athletes who's played all season, and all of a sudden the Chargers blow that huge lead, to the fucking Jacksonville Jaguars. Is it real? Is that what's really happening?
There's no way that I think that the players can be involved. There's no way that the coaches can be involved. There's just no way. I think it has to be. It just wouldn't work. It would. I mean, there's 53 players on every active roster. There's another, I don't know what, 20 or 30 for the practice squads. Like, multiply that out by 30 teams, or what is it? 32 teams. I always forget. That's just too many 32 people on the NFL side.
And that's why I don't believe that. I mean, there's no way that. How many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of players come in and out of the NFL every year? Mm-hmm. Some go broke after a while. How are none of these people
couldn't wait to sell that story?
Exactly.
Right?
So that's why I don't believe that either. That's why if there is any manipulation going on, I really think it comes down to the refs. There's just and maybe not every game is rigged. Maybe half of the refs, or even a handful of the refs, are trying to manipulate a game in the favor that they want. What if it's just one ref per each squad out there? You know what I mean? What if that's all it takes, Chris? Because that's what I'm saying. Games are only won by just mere points. You know what I mean? Baseball, football, basketball. These games come down to the wire almost all the time, and one ref making one call can change the momentum of a game, can change a possession, can change anything. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make and especially like I saw a quote from Roger Goodell saying that he thinks the officiating has never been this good, which I think is such fucking garbage. Like there's so many examples this year of shitty officiating, and then on top of that, so you notice this year that NFL or the refs will make a call on a play, right? And they'll get a buzz down from the main office saying, hey, no, that wasn't a catch. And all of a sudden, like, it's not even something that was called on the field, or they're like, there's no challenge flag, there's no nothing. And they'll change a call because it wasn't a drop, and they don't need, and now coaches don't even use it a challenge. But yet, and they do that for penalties as well. Well, why aren't they calling down and buzzing down these guys on blatantly obvious pass interferences? Like there was a pass interference that they called against my Washington Commanders, that they threw the flag. And I'm not talking about the no calls. No calls, they're not going to get a buzz down saying, hey, throw the flag for that because it's too late. The play's over. But there was a call where they threw a flag for pass interference. It was obvious pass interference. And then they picked it up and waved it off. Why didn't they get a buzz saying, hey, no, you're right. That was a good call. Keep that call. You know what I mean? But they're able to not, they wave it off. And that's not me being a good fan or, a fan saying, oh, he grazed. No, it was complete pass interference. No other way to look at it. You know what I mean? To me, it just ain't right. Something ain't right, Chris.
Dude, I have this theory, which is I believe that the games are manipulated, right? I believe that much like Tim Donahue said this, and I think this guy from the fixesin.net, he had said that like these refs like there's some kind of tiering system to the ref, right? Like there's a
Right.
top tier ref, and they watch how that guy gets rewarded for his work, and it's okay. Well, if I'm going to go far in this league, I got to be like that guy. And and so then they start doing calls like so that's a level of manipulation that's just kind of like baked into the system, right? But I don't. I mean, maybe reffing is, or it's the best set of referees we've had, the best set of calls. Like it's just, maybe we're getting them right more often than we used to. Dude, go back 10 years and how bad was it? We forget that, right? We're not. Well, we're going to forget what we're talking about today and all of these woes next year. We're going to not remember these calls.
I think it's the same as it always has been, Chris. I think that the refs and umps have always been held to a super high standard, and when they're just really garbage, they're not good at their jobs. A lot of them. I mean, there's some good refs and some, but they all are human and they all make mistakes or whatever. But I think that it's always been shitty, except now technology with 1,400 different camera angles shows what the real call is or what really happened. You know, the strike zone, how these umps have the shittiest strike zones, and every fucking time they're going to call a strike and there's zero consistency. You know, like this was the same exact fucking pitch that was thrown and now it's a strike or now it's a ball. Make up your fucking mind. You know what I mean? And to me, I think it's just more obvious because of all the technology.
That's, dude. I also think that they're never gonna get rid of like umpires in baseball.
I wish they would.
Referees. Well, they can't. Right? Then they lose the ability to manipulate.
Exactly. If they don't, Chris. Okay. Yes. Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they would. You're right. And like there is no reason to have an umpire behind the plate calling strikes and balls. There's zero reason. They should not have that anymore. Maybe to see if a ball was tipped by a bat or something. I mean, maybe they need to be back there for something, but to call balls and strikes, no, they should not be calling balls and strikes anymore. And like NFL refs, they probably piss me off more because I love the NFL and I love watching every football game. And I feel like I get invested in every game I watch. I pick a team. I have lots of favorite players. But I hate Major League Baseball umps and NBA refs because they're the most pompous pieces of shit in the fucking world. And I hate them. I hate how they could just throw people out for no fucking reason for arguing a ball and a strike, and now you get kicked out. And not even like, I understand like there's some guys are saying, fuck you, that was a fucking strike, you fucking idiot. Yeah, throw that guy out. But the guy's like, he's like pointing to where he thinks it was, and all of a sudden he's getting fucking knocked out of the game, kicked out of the game. Fuck you. I hate that. I fucking hate that. You seen that play with I don't know if you watched it where that ump, you know, like now after all the recently last season, they were checking balls a lot after pitchers, you know, they get the pitchers after the pitcher pitched their inning and they inspect the ball and they give back the pitcher just to verify there's nothing crazy going on in there. And then Bumgarner, our guy, right? Bumgarner from the Diamondbacks. Mm-hmm. God, Bumgarner. What's his name? I always get it mixed up with the Rookie of the Year kid from Rookie of the Year. Anyway,
I don't know.
Fuck Bumgarner. I don't know. I don't know why. Anyway, the ref pulls him out, right? And he grabs the ball and he's just eyeballing Bumgarner right in his face. He's not even looking at him.
I know what I've seen.
He's just looking at him and just glaring at him. And then Bumgarner's like, "What the fuck are you looking at?" And he started, they start getting into it. I mean, like, but that's the kind of pieces of shit they have out there. That guy should have been fired. Never been able to ump again.
Immediately. Yep. That's
because there's something 100%. Wrong with that guy, right? There's something not right. So yeah, fuck that.
Dude, I feel like I was shocked to know this about the NFL. I had always assumed like you hear about Olympic sports where the anti-doping agency or whatever, like there's this organization called USADA, and they're the ones that will make sure that no one's cheating, and they openly admit, we're always 5 years behind current technology, which is why they go back and test, 10 years ago and be like, oh, this person, tested positive.
Right. And they still have their blood samples, you mean? Like 10 years ago?
Yep. Urine samples, all this shit.
Right. Yeah.
And for some reason, I just assume that's what the NFL does. That's probably what all these other leagues do. They don't. The NFL has their own drug testing. I mean, for sure, their own drug testing policy, but it's done in-house.
Right.
And it's done in-house so they can control it.
Yep.
And dude, so like once you start piecing all of this together, that they're here to make money, that they want that next big TV deal, they want so the games have to be fun to watch. So they definitely do not want blowouts.
Right.
Freaking Peyton Manning went and had neck surgery or shoulder surgery or something like that. His wife had human growth hormones sent to her,
right,
and not to Peyton Manning. But it's like, but nothing ever came of that because Peyton Manning was his golden boy,
and he's golden Peyton Manning. Yeah,
that's manipulation, man. That's keeping it right.
And to me, if that is possible, then all the other stuff is kind of possible. You know what I mean? All this in-house manipulating that they do, it's easy. And maybe like I'm not, because I really don't, like you, I don't want it to believe that every game is manipulated, because I just spent $200 on a fucking football because I love football. You know what I mean? I don't want to not love football anymore. But when I watch a game and I'm thinking, and I feel like it's not fair, like I feel like I'm open-minded enough to know, be realistic when my team is just sucky and they're not good. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or like every year I'll think, ooh, my team's going to the Super Bowl. And then as the season goes on, I know they're not. They suck. And then, you know what? Ooh, they might make the playoffs. So I'll get a little bit excited that they still have a chance for playoffs. Right. But then they don't. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. They suck. Okay.
I always like how you were so strong every year.
Every year. Well, that's what I do.
Your team is going to go to the Super Bowl.
Like next year, next year, Chris, I think we're going to the Super Bowl. Like I do. Like I still truly, like in my heart, I believe my team has a good chance for a Super Bowl because they're just a quarterback away. They have all the talent in the world. They're just a quarterback away from a Super Bowl. That's how I feel. And that's how I'm going to go into this season. And then by week 5, I'm going to be like, oh, they fucking suck. You know? Yeah.
So, dude, let me ask you. Do you believe the NFL is rigged? Sorry. Do you believe the NFL is manipulated?
Yes.
Manipulating games.
I believe that okay. To
affect the outcome of a game? Like, do you, it's not scripted,
well, yeah.
Right?
Whether, okay. So when you say outcome of the game, like you mean wins and losses or points? Like, cause you know, a team can still win, but only by 3 points or 2 points, which would pay out Vegas or pay out everybody. But the record is still not really too manipulated too much. It's still a W in somebody's column and an L in the other one.
So,
but I believe that, yes, I believe that the NFL is manipulated, maybe not by the NFL, but I believe it is being manipulated. Absolutely. So in some way.
I should have asked that question differently. So I don't, right. Like, do players manipulate the score? Right. Do
they? No. Can they? Yes. Like, have they probably in the past? I would say.
Of course they have.
Players that have thrown things before. But overall, no, I don't think players are involved in manipulating the game.
So I believe that,
or coaches,
if let's say it's a quarterback, right, or running back or something, like their team can go down and score and they can be up by 10 points. There's only a minute and a half left, or they can just kick a field goal and still be within the spread, right? I think at that level, I think players have definitely manipulated the game to that level. But those are one-off. That's not like a systemic thing where the NFL is doing it.
Yeah, I would agree.
So I guess, do you believe the NFL or the NBA, maybe not for like, hey, we want this team to win necessarily, but like, do you think that the NBA wants to go to game 6 and 7 and they do what they can to make sure that happens?
Yeah. Yep, I think so. I think every game.
I think you're right.
I think every game is. I think there is a objective for every game, an outcome that they I don't know if objective is the right word. There's an outcome that the NBA or Major League Baseball or NFL want after every game, and the game is manipulated in some way to get that, but is not always successful. I would say, because I believe that people could, it's hard to manipulate a game if this team is just fucking on fire and they can't drop a pass, they can't miss a pass. This guy's throwing dimes. You can't call a penalty every fucking play,
right,
and be completely obvious. So but I do believe that every game to a point is being manipulated in some way, whether it's, hey, we can't let this team win by 14 points. Hey, we can't let this team win by more than 4 points. Or, if you look at the Vegas, my dad actually took a spreadsheet all year on primetime games and Vegas, against the money bets, where it was somewhere around 60% of the games hit against the money. So all the money was on one team and the other side won. So like really, I could have been betting like that and be winning all season, but it's not going to be a lot because I'm just betting my $50 here, $50 there. But but a 10% swing or that's huge. That's huge in the billions of dollars. You know what I mean? That the NFL is making, or that the Las Vegas is making. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to see how that's even an argument. Like, is it because it wasn't at 50%, or because you think, like it should have been at 0%?
Like it's
I don't
always
understand.
I'm saying it's always up. Vegas never loses at the end of the season. They're winning every single time.
I do wonder if what those bets look like at the beginning of the week, right? Like because those spreads tighten up as it gets closer to the game,
right?
Even
they don't always tighten,
right? But they change, and so how right were they at the beginning,
right?
Versus I don't know,
and maybe that's not a good argument. Maybe I get what you're saying. Maybe it could be because Vegas have the smartest people in the world doing their shit, but it's almost as if they're wizards because all of a sudden there's a junk touchdown at the end just to make that spread or a junk something. Even in basketball, there's a junk, like, the game's over and all of a sudden a guy's going to go, the team's losing by 20 points and he's going to go dunk it on the other end just to cover that fucking spread.
But that's that player doing it, right? That's not the NBA saying, hey, go do this, or some ref being like, hey, Jim, I need you to go, score, 2 more points so we beat the spread. Like that's
why I say I think it's manipulated in some way, every way. Maybe that player's cousin has a bet on the game, and he's gonna get that ball and throw that dunk on because he know that's what his cousin wants to do to win that $10,000 bet he put on. You know what I mean?
But that's at the player level. That's not a system. That's not the NFL being rigged.
I think that's not. Yes, I would go back to that's not a systemic issue in the NFL that players are manipulating the game. But I'm just saying, my thing is I believe every game is somehow being manipulated, even from the bottom to the top.
All right. I'm going to say, I think the NFL manipulates it. I think they, with the way that they build out the schedules, with the way that they selectively test players, that it's not this public, open and available like testing system that they have for drug testing. I think that they've built a system to reward refs for doing what they want to do, right? Like we've seen that in the NBA for sure, and other refs will then mimic that. But I don't think it's scripted. I think it's all about entertainment. I think that it's they just want to have good, close games, and they do what they can to make sure that happens.
But there was I remember hearing or seeing something, reading something that actually it would be against the law for NFL to do that. Like the NFL is not allowed to script things.
Only if it involves betting.
Right, and they all do now. So they all involve betting.
No. So they can. Right. There's nothing wrong with their bonus structure for
Yeah.
Let's say the NBA, right? Like if you go to game 6, you get paid more money. If you go to game 6, you go to game 7,
So that's there. Yeah.
But what they can't do is affect, they can't purposely say, I need you to do this so the spread is covered, or I need you to do this so this team wins. Right. But they do it in this other like underhanded way, man. And it's just great. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, going back to the, I kind of am taking back, taking back the down to the player level. I mean, in recent history, we had a whole fucking team of cheaters win the World Series. You know what I mean? The whole Astros, banging I mean, like, what's to stop, any other team in professional sports doing something like that, cheating like that, or I guess that's more cheating to win. And I believe
that doesn't mean
cheats. That's a whole different story. That's a whole different subject.
That's not rigging, right? That's team. That's the same as the Patriots recording. It's the same as the Patriots messing with other people's audio equipment. It's the same as So it's not. It's cheating.
I think it's cheating to win, not throwing. I think throwing games is where it gets different, right?
Yeah. Dude, I don't know. We should wrap this up, but I got one more question for you.
All right.
Knowing that the NFL likes storylines, right? And they the both these brothers are going to be playing in the Super Bowl or whatever. What's the story for tomorrow? Like, and who do we expect to win? We got the Eagles. We got the Chiefs.
I think this is my prediction. This is my prediction for tomorrow. Chiefs win. Kelsey scores at least 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
And the total score is going to be over 45 points. That's my prediction.
Okay.
And I think the story is Kelsey's going to win that brother battle. And it's going to be, Kelsey's a fucking showboating tight end that has the pretty face and girls love and has the commercials, and the brother's the less attractive brother who's a center who is one of the best centers in the NFL, but he's,
but he's gonna get,
but he's a center, he takes it in the ass. That's what they do. But that's my prediction for tomorrow. I think the story will be Kelsey winning the game MVP by scoring multiple touchdowns. Wouldn't that be it? It's a brother battle, and then one of the brothers actually play so good that they win the game MVP.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
And it's only one. I mean, the center is not going to be the MVP.
Right. Yeah.
It's never happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Even though that's what I think, but I think that the Eagles are going to beat the Kansas City. But what? I think if it's manipulated, if the NFL's manipulated, that's where they're going. If it's not manipulated, I think that the Eagles are going to win. I think they're a better team.
Okay. I think the Chiefs are going to win. I think they want Mahomes to win. Brady's gone. They need another goat. Yeah, exactly. And I don't think that's him. I don't think Mahomes is going to top Brady. But that's what the NFL wants, and I'm pretty sure he's going to win.
Yeah, I do see calls going in Kansas City's favor during this game. I think Kansas City is going to win because that's what the NFL wants.
Yeah.
Fuck the Eagles anyway too, because I hate the Eagles.
I'm not, dude. I don't put them in the same boat as Cowboy fans, but every Eagles fan that I've ever met, and there's not a lot of them. Way more Cowboy fans here. I don't like Eagle fans. I don't know.
Dude, they're literally the shittiest people in America. You know what I mean? And the Philadelphians are literally the shittiest people in America. I mean, when they talk about how that's the only city that boos Santa during a fucking parade, or, they are all that fan base in Philly. Maybe not here. I have a lot of Philly fans that are cool. But their fan base is seriously the most toxic piece of shit. Those are the ones that throw the frozen beer cans on the field or throw the fucking ice balls. I mean, they're assholes.
That's true.
They're known. Yeah. It's a known thing. So yeah, fuck Philly, fuck the fans. Go Chiefs. I don't even like the Chiefs. I'm over the Chiefs.
Either. Same.
I really wanted a Bengals Niners Super Bowl, but
yep,
whatever. I can't get what I want. NFL obviously didn't want that.
Yeah. All right, man. We should call it.
All right, brother. All right.
I'll see you tomorrow.